See that?
Not only are we live, but look at this.
We're
We can do high
live.
fives.
Good.
We can do one
Real.
more. We can do high fives live on a Sunday night. Welcome, my friends. Welcome, welcome. It is so absolutely exciting to have. So, in fairness, we had a pseudo episode on last summer when we had the unicorn party, and Brennan was here for that as you guys were prepping to head up to Saskatchewan First Nation with our team. And so you were here, and we had a show that night, and it was like a roaming show.
It was fun.
It was fun. That was a great episode. And but now we are live for the first time since we started this show in 2020, 4 years ago.
Wow.
The first time we're doing a show just like this. And isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's crazy. What a trip. It's like crazy too, because we had a lot of people over today, and just thinking about just reflecting on the fact that we met so long ago, 7 years?
Yeah.
And just it's crazy how how much work we've been able to do and be part of, and just the community that you introduced me to, and just how far everyone's come. Yeah, it's crazy. What a journey, eh?
Without a doubt. And I was telling the story yesterday, maybe. So when Brennan and I met in 2017, we met in Halifax, and Brennan had been one of the young people, and it's actually kind of full circle if you really look at it. So he was one of the young people who applied for Miss Nogama, All Our Relations, which was the tall ship project that had 45 Indigenous young people sail from Halifax to France. And of all the applications, we got them all, and they were big applications. They were thorough, they were intensive, and they were intentionally that way because we wanted young people who were going to be the right fit in that space. 27 days at sea, 22 days with no contact with the world. So people needed to be the right fit. And you had applied amongst with so many others and from across the country, and 45 young people were selected through a process where we ranked the applications, and we had a collective sit and look at them, and young people were identified, selected, and then notified, called first, and then followed up with emails. And literally 30 days later, they were meeting for the first time at Mount St. Vincent University.
Yep.
And 3 days after that, away they set sail. And you think about it, your trip to Kingston this week, on behalf of the foundation, the Ulnuag Indigenous Communities Foundation, Ulnuag, sorry. That's the process you took part in today, was the exact same process we used for Miss Nogama to select the 20 young people who applied to attend the Weird Listening Gathering in Ottawa in February.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was sweet. It was a really great experience. We got really lucky to call a few of them today too, and not everybody, but yeah, it was great.
Well, we did call everybody.
Yeah, we did call everybody, but we didn't get in touch with everybody. But the next few days will be really exciting. Yeah, it was really trippy, kind of, to be honest, just to think about and reflect on all that, and I'm at a loss for words still, to be honest.
Because 7 years ago, it was your application that sat at this table with hundreds of other, just mountains of paper for that, right? This one was big too, right?
Oh, yeah.
The book was this big with all the applications. It was amazing. But with Miss Nogama, it was all over, and so just to think that you were once a piece of paper at this table, and today you were this weekend you were looking at those papers, and yeah. So, but what I liked about when I met Brennan for the first time, or maybe a couple of days before that, I'd been working with this fellow named Chris Gugu, and he was one of the partners in Miss Nogama. He was with Ulnuag, and I hadn't worked with Ulnuag in the past, and it was an amazing experience to work with this guy named Chris. And I figured out, I pretty quickly on, I figured we were close in age, and and in similar roles in the world, and he was just really, really good to work with. And there were a lot of gurus who had applied because the name is quite popular in Nova Scotia, right? Common, not popular, but common.
Yeah.
And so only after the application process was done and the selection process was done, we learned that in fact Chris Gugu was your dad.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool moment because I didn't know your dad well, and I didn't know you at all. I hadn't met you yet, but I immediately was drawn to that kind of integrity where the reality is our own kids and our grandkids are going to be involved and do things, right? And because of our relations, they shouldn't be prevented from taking part. But what you and your dad, and I was talking to your dad like 3 times a week during that month. And the fact that it never came up intentionally, and the fact that you never in your application identified any link to your dad or to Ulaweg, I just immediately was like, I can dig to these guys. Like this is, it's just a level of integrity that was so impressive. And your Mello says, hi, Brennan, Mitchell R. Oh,
I'm on. Mitchell Ryan.
Yeah, there you go.
Atlanta. Hello, Atlanta.
Yeah. So anyway, so when we met, and there was something really, I was really taken by you and a number of folks on the ship who we've worked with since in different ways. And but I just think it's awesome that here we are today, right? And making those calls to young people who are going to have a similar experience. I mean, you can't see it, and they're not everyone's confirmed, so we can't show you. But the boards in our room right now are filled with not just names, but when we do these processes, we're looking always beyond just the person, but also the community that's going to be developed, right? And it is so we're looking at the breakdown, and this we can share with you. Like this is awesome, right? Like,
do you want me to grab this?
Sure. Yeah, there's nothing identifying. Yeah, we'll just sort of show you that this is the process we use for all of our events. Sorry for the noise.
This is one of the whiteboards. I like that. Just trying to break it down, make sure that we're like doing our due diligence and making sure everyone has equal opportunity, right? That's what we're all about. So
exactly, and so very confidently, 3 things and Ulaweg. Oh, hold on one second. Can really sort of say that the representation that's going to come to Ottawa with the We're Listening project really is very cool because it's broken up by province where each region. So each region is really well represented. Gender balance. We talked a couple of weeks ago on a special little short episode of Come Walk With Us, right? About hoping for more young men to apply. And in the end, there certainly are young men. There's gender nonconforming folks. There's folks who identify as women. The age range is really cool because it's a nice mix of that 13 to 15 crowd, right? Who have a certain perspective. And then the 17-year-old, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And a real mix of background between First Nation, Inuit, Métis folks. And it's really, so I love our processes because this is how they end naturally when you do things with that kind of intention.
Yeah, we talked about that today, how like it just kind of worked out nicely. And that's, like you said, that's because of the process. We do our due diligence. Exactly.
Yeah. So today we did have people over for lunch today, just a little light lunch. And in my mind, it's a little light lunch.
Yeah. Little for Peter's, big for everybody else.
Like it always baffles me because it was little. So we had because I had asked you what your favorite foods are, right?
Yeah.
And you did say your mom's rigatoni with Italian sausage, which I didn't dare recreate. And but potatoes and gravy and corn and so I actually forgot the corn today. I'm sorry. Okay. I bought corn and I forgot it. Oh. It was on the menu. But what we did make though is we made a beautiful venison meatloaf and a big piece of smoked beef. And knowing you're a gravy fan, and I know you prefer your gravy a little colder and gelatinous, you had to be forced to eat it while it was still warm. So some smoked beef from the smoker with some nice gravy, and what else? A couple of other kinds of meatloaf and meatballs, and salads, and
mashed potatoes, rice,
yeah,
nice vegetables, salad, bunch of meats. It was great, man.
yeah.
Good little buffet.
But I tell you, the people came today not for the food. Why did they come?
Because you invited them.
No.
No, I don't know. You invited everyone over today to kind of celebrate me, I guess, and show me some gratitude and stuff. I would say, and yeah, like I really appreciate it. Everyone showed up for real.
And those are the folks that you met when you first came here in 2018 and who immediately fell in love with you as well, right?
Yeah.
And I hope today, because sometimes it's hard. It's really hard to accept love from other folks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is, at least for me.
Yeah, I would agree.
And compliments or kind words and in the work in my life, one of the things that I've sort of thought about and figured out with the help of like elders and therapists and sponsors and 12-step programs is that when I resist it, it's actually my own sort of like, it's not just simply, oh, I can't take compliments well, or, oh, it makes me uncomfortable, or any of those things. It's actually, I want to be in control of how I feel. And you sharing this kind of kindness and love with me makes me feel uncomfortable. So I want to say, oh, I don't take compliments well. And I push those compliments out because it's about wanting to be in control. Mm-hmm. For me, this is at least where I've gotten in it. Doesn't mean it's fact or anything. And I hope tonight when you go to bed, I hope you recognize that they didn't come because I invited them. They didn't come because there was going to be good food. They came because you mattered in their life when you've been here. You've mattered on Saturday nights. We heard that from folks today, right? Mm-hmm. About how significant, and in particularly how significant our hiatus is, right?
Yeah, people were upset we took breaks. We took a break.
Totally.
We had a couple, never take a break again.
Never take a break again. So we came to see you, Brennan Gugu. People get tired of Peter. And so they came today to see you, and I just want you to make sure that you know that it is, it's just so important. Great, oh, there you go, right? Great to see you. Great seeing you today, Brennan. And I just share that with you because I think sometimes we all have difficulty accepting love from other folks in the world. And yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely helped me big time with that, like especially since I moved here in Kingston the first time. And yeah, like just working with three things in general has like taught me so much around it's like accepting positivity and like diving into it. And yeah, like I'm super grateful, super appreciative of everybody that showed up today and shows up online every Saturday, Sunday now. Yeah, like I'm just super grateful.
Me too. And I'm grateful that we're back on Sunday nights. The last thing I'll say about Mike Posner. Do you know Mike Posner? I took a pill in Ibiza.
Write you a song to make you fall in love. That guy?
Maybe. Mm-hmm. The only song I know is that I took a pill in Ibiza.
Oh,
I took a pill in Ibiza. Yeah. Anyway, so there's Pam Beardy is there.
Oh, Pam.
Big hearts for Pam. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Jaylene is there. Hey, Jaylene. And there's Pam Beardy. Awesome. Thank you for the hearts. So anyway, so he does a blog. Eh? So Mike Posner, if you don't remember that song that I took a pill in Ibiza, he left music and walked across America in a quest to get his mental health back on track. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, and I think he stopped the walk at some point. He had some mental health challenges through that whole time, but he's come out now with this really great email blog. And this week he talked about when someone says something nice to him about him, he writes it into his phone. And when he writes it into his phone, it's so that the days that he is not mindful of who he is or how he is, it gives him the chance to be reminded how the world sees him.
That's cool.
And I'm going to start trying to do that. I'm going to start trying to write it in the phone because it's easy, especially if you've got folks in your life who don't treat you the best all the time. Or who just are you working spaces where there's hurtfulness or there's toxicity or there's any of that stuff, right? Where other people's take isn't the real take of who you are, but you can believe it so easily, right? So I think I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to write that down. And Corey's there too, Corey Jr. Hey, Corey Jr.
Hey.
And look at that. Very happy that my Sunday night date night with not just one, but two very handsome people. Well, in fact, tonight we have a super special treat. Because you don't only get two handsome people. Oh, now I'm thinking that we're going to get sued by Tig Notaro and Mae Martin. And
names?
These are names of people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
These are these comedians that three comedians. They have a great podcast called The Handsome Pod.
Oh.
And Tig Notaro, the comedian, stand-up comedian. No. Mae Martin, stand-up comedian. And then the other, Feemster. Something Feemster. If someone
Not Keemstar.
No, Feemster. I want to say Farrah Feemster, but it's not Farrah. But if someone looks up the Handsome podcast, maybe just put in the comments who are the hosts. It's an amazing podcast. It's it's so good. But anyways, I don't want to get sued for keep using the word handsome, but we do have another super handsome guest tonight. And so we want to welcome our guest here in a moment. I found today a picture of Simonic and Crystal. Those from the ship will remember Crystal, who worked with us. Her partner at the time, Dean, Cody, my girl Cody. We had gone down to the Dominican Republic. We had worked really hard on several things. We went down to the Dominican as a group, a team from Three Things, and we were at a foam party, and the foam was rising, and we're in this pool, and I look across and I see this woman, and I'm like, I kind of recognize her, but maybe it's just a niche thing, because it's clearly these two niche folks are across the way, right, in the pool. And somehow we connect and meet and we start chatting. And she worked with a friend of mine. A friend of mine was, I think, her boss at the time. And I was like, oh my God, small world. And we start chatting. And then we have another person come and start chatting because we're there. And so in this pool in a foam party there, and in this resort in Dominican, there are 3 different indigenous folks and groups there.
Like groups of people.
Yeah. It was amazing. And so, yeah, as you can see in the little thing there, make sure that you subscribe to our channel if you're watching on YouTube, and click that little notification bell. And make sure you click like and share, both on Facebook and on YouTube. There is the end of our our banners and such, which I don't know how to end. There we go. And so we're going to welcome, in fact, Lana introduces her. Natasha is also a very beautiful change maker. And for the first time ever, we're live here tonight, and so is our guest.
Hey!
Natasha Commanda is here. I'm going to push over a little. And so welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
That is awesome.
Yeah, be good.
Coming down.
Be good.
Well, and not just the guest, but hopped on the train to come down and see Brennan again, right?
Yeah.
Again, in your little phone. People get on trains to come see me. And then also join us live for this very special episode.
Yeah.
And so that is such a great memory that will stick in my brain forever and ever and ever. I long have felt that we need young people to know, we need our young people to know that travel is important and it matters. And Brennan, more than I think either of us, has traveled the world.
Yeah. You have.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so I think our young people need to know that the world goes beyond their borders, whether that's the res, whether that's an urban space, whether it's their own house, right? Mm-hmm. The world is out there, and and it literally is available for us. And like, so where's the farthest you've been from home?
Yeah, probably just in the south, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
Mexico, probably. Yeah.
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 And how old were you the first time you went? You went on an adventure.
When first time on an adventure.
Yeah.
I don't know, not too long ago.
Really?
Probably like a long ago. Like done. I don't know, like 15 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
12 years ago.
Well, as you're only 21, that means you were just a little girl.
Yeah.
So, and do you remember that first adventure where it was to?
It was to Punta Cana. It was my first time, and I never went down south before. That was cool.
That was your first time flying too?
No, I flew before to Toronto. But first time traveling. And then after that, I went on a solo adventure by myself to Cuba. That was so scary. That was the scariest thing I've ever done. But I went and I made some friends, and we all actually rented a vehicle and went down and traveled to Havana together and hung out all week. And it was so cool. And it was like one of the best times of my life. And I just felt so confident that I could do anything after that.
Awesome. And that is why we go to have adventures. And those adventures don't even have to be into the South or into Europe or South America or Asia. Mm-hmm. They literally can be across this country. Right? We do live in the second biggest country in the world physically, right? So there is so much. It could be visiting another territory. It could be going to a powwow in a province next door. Mm-hmm. It can be a road trip to a conference or an event, right? Like it could be a concert in your own community, mm-hmm. But just having adventures and doing things, right? I think it's just so important.
And I like that you mentioned that it gave you a lot of confidence to be able to do anything too, because that was the biggest thing for me when I went solo traveling first time. Was you get back with this confidence that you're self-sufficient, you can sustain yourself, anywhere, and it's just I would like to ask you how that shaped your career path and how that affected your entrepreneurial path.
Travel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess when I was 18, I joined the Ontario Aboriginal Youth Council, and I started traveling then. And I think that really helped me gain confidence, and it actually helped me in my career, what I wanted to do. And now we're working with Indigenous youth with 3 Things Consultings every now and then, and a whole bunch of other things. So that also started up just getting the confidence to, start businesses and do all kinds of stuff like that. All the exciting things, and just seeing opportunities come along. There's always opportunities everywhere, and just taking them. And I met Tyson, who's my business partner, at a young entrepreneur symposium, and then from there we just built some businesses together.
Well, and one of them you experienced for the first time on this trip.
Yeah, my first time. I was super lucky, super excited. I've been because you guys started this business during COVID, was it?
Yeah, we started at first it was Indigenous face masks, mm-hmm. and now it's Indigenous gifts. But we were giving out, you bought a face mask and had Indigenous design like Norval Morrisell, Maxine Knoll, all these great artists. And then the same type of mask would be sent to an Indigenous childhood youth, and we sent them all over Canada. But yeah, and then last, I think about a year ago, we started a new company called Effing Clean Water.
Yeah, drink your effing clean water, kids.
Yep, effing clean water. Everyone deserves it.
Peak that.
Yeah.
Native owned. Isn't that cool, man?
Yeah, that one's our sparkling. We have sparkling and still, and we give back to Water First to help communities get access to clean water.
So land back is important, but water back is important too.
Oh yes, water is just super important, and we still have a lot of communities that are facing a lot of water issues.
Yeah. Oh, also, Mom, I'm gonna bring you back some of this. So I know you love sparkling water, and this is the first time I've actually enjoyed sparkling water. So I just want to throw that out there. Other times I'm just oh, it's TV static. I hate it.
Oh, so you just don't like it normally?
Yeah, I never drink sparkling water or carbonated water because of that. I just never really like it. But this stuff's good.
Well, and it's that risk taking at 18, right? We take risks. Because one of the things is I have taken horrific risks in my life, like nightmares. Like I look back now and they're literal nightmares, and whether it was with substances or just decisions I made that took years to shift away from, right? The consequences. Others where the consequences probably will never be fully like they just will be there, right? And I think for a lot of people that like risk taking is really like unhealthy. And when we talk about risk, we actually talk about it so often, it's just with young people. We're talking about the risks that they face or the risks that the risky things they might be participating in. But I think it's so critical to help people just reframe and see what risk taking can be, right? So risk taking is opening a company to sell water, right?
Yeah.
Risk taking is going to Cuba on your own, or your solo trips around the country, right?
Yeah.
Around the world, sorry. Like risk taking is so important. It's so important that we create spaces where folks can take risks, and even this event that we're going to work together in a couple of weeks for the Illinois Communities Foundation. Those young people are taking huge risks.
Yeah, man.
Like they're leaving their homes, they're leaving their families, they're getting onto a plane, they're coming to something that they'll be a package that they can read, but it's just a package, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to be taking these ultimate risks, and the risks even of them applying, of filling that out and sending it in, right? Putting themselves out there. It is, and I love to celebrate that kind of risk taking and honor that kind of risk taking because, again, we focus on all the negative risks or the risky behaviors or the risky things or the risks, whatever language, right? But we need to be celebrating the risks they're taking that are positive and healthy and regardless of the outcome. Like I take a lot of risks and things don't work out like I want them to. Like just because that's life, right? And it's not failure, just things don't work. Doesn't mean I'm a failure. Doesn't even mean the thing is a failure. It just means that A plus B plus C wasn't able to come together in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that idea of a lot of people, and I think maybe if you're watching at home, Darian Smith says, hi, Natasha. Mm-hmm. Says,
love you.
James Hack says, I love you. You're great. Mello says, love it. I think that was in reference to your independence trip, your independence and such. Lana just says, by the way, Peter Brennan had an amazing idea about a bus in this show. Okay, well, we're going to certainly get into that later. There's no doubt about that. I want to hear that. Yeah, risk taking is essential to like really good development. Whether you're 14 or 44 or 64, we need to take risks, like those healthy risks.
Yeah.
And when you take risks too, and like it doesn't like whether they go to good or bad in the end, like you have to be able to like you have to build tolerance. You have to like calcify basically over time, and like you have to take risks to be able to identify later on down the road when a risk to be able to improve your risk assessment, right? And like you can't do that without taking risks. You have to do it like it's practice. And yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like we started our first company with like $5,000 and just wanted to help like Indigenous youth, and there was something, the COVID was going on, and there was limited people bringing like access to masks in the north, and especially to remote communities, and like that hitting at the time would be so much. And yeah, it just we tried to do whatever we could to help, and then that just grew and blew up, and people wanted to support. And the first week we were on CBC national news, and then it just kept going from there.
That was the thing too. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you guys like took off really quickly.
Yeah,
how was because like that's a big risk too. Like that's a good positive outcome, but like like be the fear of growing too fast, I guess, right?
really fast, really quick, and having to learn skills like right on the spot. I mean, we were practically two kids with us, like
with a basement filled with product.
yeah. and just learning along the way, right? And yeah, we've made like a few mistakes here and there, but you learn and you grow, and then you just get great mentors and people like yourselves to support, and everyone watching that want to help help our communities. And that's it was an outlet because people didn't know what to do. You hear so much negativity about our peoples in the news and the media, and here's something that you can actually do. It's just these small steps, like get us like support with some water, just a can, and just or with so many other companies that are doing such great things for our people, supporting indigenous business and helping that grow.
Yeah. Well, and what I think there were two things that I was marveled at when you launched this, and you were on the show at the time too when you launched the face masks, right?
Yep.
When you were, and was that you matched for everyone that was bought, you sent one up north.
Yep.
And in the end, it was like 50,000, 60,000, something like that.
Yeah, 47,000, over 47,000.
47,000 masks sent to
Yeah.
the north. And so, and I still just lift my hands to you because I think it's essential as First Nations or Indigenous owned businesses that we give back.
Mhm.
And our sort of process, and just for the record, you're seeing on the ticker below there, folks, check out that website because we're going to talk in a second about the evolution of the masks to the gifts, right? But the reality is that we have a opportunity to give back as businesses. We have an opportunity to share. We have an opportunity to support. And one of the great things that we were able to do this weekend was the opening of the Real Out Film Festival that we're the presenting sponsor of. And so a group of us, I think there is 6, 7 of us, went to the opening night film, which I was very pleasantly surprised that I loved. And I wasn't certain I was going to. It's a South Korean film, and with subtitles. I'm not always a fan of subtitles because I kind of do I'll be like, like I'm reading a book. It just puts me right to sleep, right?
Like literally falls asleep in the theater.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
right.
Yeah, and I can do that without even subtitles.
Yes, yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
But that said, it's a privilege to be able to do that, right? To support the film festival, to ensure that LGBTQ plus Two-Spirit stories are being shared, because they matter, right? And that's a privilege. And you had that opportunity, that privilege to give back, and 47,000 masks. Now, I assume that as COVID and things started to shift, it's still not gone. It's still here. People are still dying around the world, here in Canada and around the world. People are still getting sick. People are still very vulnerable. But we are, but a business like yours that was built on COVID, if you will, right? The necessities. I loved when I saw that you had rebranded and revisioning what it was that you were going to do. And first with FN Clean Water, and then the Indigenous gifts. And because I think that's really important. If you can check that link out, you're going to find so much wonderful product, an amazing product that's available for gifts, for yourself, for anyone. And again, you're supporting through that other spaces and places as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, through the sale of our Cookum scarves, we were able to donate every $5 that was purchased with a scarf to help Ukraine earlier. So cool. And I think we've given over 23,000 to support to the Red Cross.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and then on top of that, we've donated another 25,500 to like Every Child Matters, and to help support different organizations to help. So like, yeah, like it can be done, and it's
It must feel so awesome.
It does. It's nice to work towards the betterment of our people, right? So.
Well, and it is essential, right? It's just an essential to some of
Leland Wood.
Leland. it's just so important to not just be able to do it, but also to recognize those who are. And so the reality is that when we think of philanthropy, we often think of big corporations, but smaller shops like ours and yours, we have that opportunity, right? We have the opportunity to do stuff that's really meaningful. So that's $50,000, give or take, that your business is given to be able to support important work that's happening, and 47,000 masks at $10 a pop is, say, give or take, right, retail. So that's almost $100,000 in 3 years that you've been able to pay forward, and
Yeah. And then we started a water company.
and now that's giving
Yeah.
back as well, right?
Yeah. And it's also just like showing the big guys, like, hey, be doing this too to help Indigenous people through the water crisis.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. Like, you guys can do it. Why can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that it's the responsibility now of
Cash. Damn.
and there you go. So proud of you.
Oh, nice.
There you go. It's important, I think, for organizations, Indigenous and not, for community spaces, Indigenous and not, to be reaching out to your website, to be learning about FN Clean Water. Because here's the thing, if you're going to be buying bottled water, the plastic bottled water, and whether it comes from Nestle or any other sort of source, right? If it's a large mass-produced company, there's going to be challenges, environmental, social, equity, etc., etc. And it's not to say, because I don't know, I know that you are looked at fair sourcing, right, for your water. At the end of the day, though, the reality is that by buying yours, you'll see that tin. It's tin, right, versus plastic.
Yeah, aluminum. Yeah.
Aluminum, yeah. I could have said metal, and it would have been all the same in my head. The metal can.
Recyclable.
But so that's different, right?
Yeah.
The reality that the water is coming from a space and place that is ensured to not be exploited.
Yeah.
And to be able to give back and be able to share resources. All of those things matter. And so what's really important is for organizations and systems and spaces to be reaching out to FN Clean Water and or some of the other smaller shops like yours, right?
Yeah.
And just to be frank, and obviously we're biased, we want them to go to you. But at the end of the day, go to First Nations owned spaces and places like this and get the water that you're using.
Yeah.
And I think we need to revisit. We had a great conversation with a hotel one time, you and I.
Yeah.
But I think we need to go back and revisit it, because I think that this is the social corporate responsibility that exists in the world, that we have the privilege of being able to, because we do it ourselves, right? And others can and should as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's here in town. There's a Indigenous craft market. Indigenous market. I think it's called a craft market, but and we've been able to support those artists, local Indigenous artists, tremendously at that space. Being able to get materials and products for our programming, for our events, and it's interesting because and I say to a lot of our clients, you want to be looking for spaces and places like that for our non-Indigenous allies, right?
Absolutely.
And for Indigenous clients as well. Because again, I think sometimes we get stuck in this space of what we are going to do or how we're going to honor someone or reward someone or whatever. But I think it is essential. And I don't know what 2023's numbers are going to be yet. I don't know what they are in relation to what we put back into the Indigenous economy. But I can tell you that over the last few years, not counting last year yet, it's been over $500,000 into the Indigenous economy. Yeah, it is.
That's a lotto ticket, man.
It's a lotto ticket, and it makes me so happy, right? It really does, because it is an understanding that that's our responsibility. I have a privilege in the role that I have.
Mm.
And so my responsibility is to bring others with me. And I annoy myself sometimes because I'll be the crab in the bucket and I'll want to yank down that leg. And then I shake myself out of it and I'm like, no, you don't. Because first of all, you annoy me. So if you get out of the bucket, you won't annoy me anymore.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's super important to support one another. And like we have a lot of Indigenous businesses that help support us and purchase our water too. Like we have Oxygen Fitness and Yoga in Ottawa that's Indigenous owned. We have like Adawe Wagamik in the 55 Byward Market Square. We have so many people that are, so supportive, and it's about us, all of us supporting one another, right, too. So
well, and you know what? You go to Tim Hortons and you buy a bottle of water and it's $2.45. You take 20 feet extra and you get to that AG7 store, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it called again?
Adawe Wagamik.
There you go.
Yep.
And you pay $4 and you get better water, you get more water, and you get water that is making a difference.
Absolutely. And
I think in the world that we live in, it's easy to forget, but sometimes we do need to take that extra 20 steps. Sometimes we really, really do. OMG, it's Liz.
Hello, Liz. It's good to hear.
Look at that. Not only were you doing amazing,
really nice.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yes. And yes, they brought them to Milan, Italy.
Oh, right on. Very cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Awesome. So grateful to see Liz there tonight. Grateful to see you, Liz. I'm glad you're here. But yeah, it is I think just in the world we live in, right? It is, I am a fan of money. I don't know a lot of people who aren't. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I do know some people who aren't. But I like it because it gives me opportunity, right? Opportunity for myself and my family, but also opportunity for my community, and opportunity to be able to lift other things up that matter to me. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I feel kind of good about that. I know I have friends of mine who have a very different take on it, and like the links to capitalism and colonialism and et cetera, and I can respect that take. So I'll just take their money. If you don't want it, no. But I think there is, again, in so many of our communities, there is such a lack of connection to the fact that it's like bougie natives, right? This presumption that if you've got resources, that you see yourself as better than, or more than, or more important than, and that just isn't true. No. And there'll be folks, Indigenous and not, who behave that way, right? Who have resources and will believe that they're better than, or more important than, and the reality is they're not. Mm-hmm. And they need to be held account for that. But at the end of the day, I think we just are. One of the challenges that we've got to overcome in the next 2 generations is intergenerational wealth. There's been an absence of it, partly due to the fact that, like, people not being able to own their own homes, right? Mm-hmm. Because that intergenerational wealth that has occurred from land, right? So they took our land, and then they gave their land to their children, mm-hmm. and their children profited from that land, right? Mm-hmm. And vice so on and so forth. But we never had that opportunity, right? To be able to, and we also never saw land as a commodity, right? So, and still don't. So many people don't, right? It's not a commodity. And so that different worldview, but I think that is what we need to figure out, is that intergenerational wealth. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that my kids are going to be millionaires upon my going on my next chapter, but I want to be able to make sure that they and my grandchildren who are here today, right, that they have access to opportunities and access to paths where, so Everett, who is here today, and Aaliyah, if they're resilient, I want them to be resilient as an asset because it's just something they carry, not because they have to be. Yeah. And I think as we look forward into the generations, that intergenerational wealth will help with that stuff. I think.
I would agree for sure. And a little bit off topic, not really, but I'm just going back to what I was saying earlier. I forgot, but about like taking risks. I think it's really cool that Three Things is able to create an environment and opportunities for youth where they can, I don't want to say they're forced to take risks, but they have the opportunity to take big risks while being fully supported.
Yes.
And like that just made me think about, like, people are always talking about take healthy risks, and I don't think it's about taking healthy risks. I think it's just about taking risks, but trying your best to stay healthy in the process. And then, like, if you have the right supports and stuff around you, you know, like, you'll just be able to be a resilient person.
Yeah.
Not out of necessity.
Yeah, it was really nice to see, like, some of the last sessions that we had, how brave some of the youth were to speak up and to say what they want for their communities, right? And to have that, to be able to bring that back to their communities and advocate and bring that to their chief and council, which is so powerful. And they are so powerful.
Totally. And we are very excited to when we are able to release the tools that came out of there from SOAR into 2024. That was an event that literally it rolled out exactly as I envisioned. And I envisioned it like years and years ago. And it rolled out exactly how I envisioned it. It was, so for those of you who don't know about it, we had 35 folks from the Blood Tribe, Kainai, in southern Alberta, join us for New Year's Eve. Well, join us for the weekend of New Year's Eve in Ottawa, and Natasha was working on that team as well, and it was perfect.
It was magic.
It was magic, like it really was. And I kept telling them, though, this is the funniest thing. I keep telling them, I'm like, you should know, because I hope they'll come back this summer. I think I would like to see them be able to come back and do some other work as well, but with those young people. But we were like, our events aren't normally like this. We don't normally go to hockey games. We don't normally have prime rib. We don't normally have, because we wanted to make it really special, right?
Yeah.
We don't normally have a party until 2 a.m. with all of this like food and snacks and like, so we normally work for 10 hours a day. And I do hope and the stuff that we send out to the students or the young people who are going to come to, we're listening. It is a good reminder for them that this is a working process, right? Like we'll have a couple of walkabouts and make sure that they get the chance to see the Rideau Center and see Parliament Hill and such. But they're gathering to do real serious work. Like it's real serious. And so yeah, it is. I've always liked that about our events. We've had adults say to us, they say, first of all, they're using language. Our kids can't do this. They can't sit here. They're bored. I'm like, it's okay that they're bored. Because they won't be in 2 days. Like, and I'm fine if they're bored right now. And this was an actual conversation. And the woman was like, well, no, they just can't do it. They can't sit here like this and listen to discussions or talk at this, even in the small groups. I'm like, well, they can. And they're like getting really miffed. And they're like, well, they want to go they should be going shopping. I said, we have time for shopping. And they're like, no, they should go today. They should go. And I'm like, and I said, listen, and I finally just hit my wall. And I'm like, if you want to take your group out, you're welcome to do that. I'm not standing at the door. But you need to know that they're going to be embarrassed. They're going to think that they're happy at first, that they get to go to the mall. But they're going to come back and that there's going to be a disconnect between them and the space and the others. Mm-hmm. And they're going to feel real embarrassed that they didn't get to participate. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'll leave it to you. You decide how you want this to play out. And then those same two people came at the end. And the one woman was like, I don't often acknowledge it, but I was really wrong. And I'm glad that we didn't take them out. Wow. And I see now what you're doing here. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I got there. Oh, New Year's Eve. Yeah. But either way, it is about creating these spaces where young people, can and are supported to take risks, right?
I think that's a really cool thing you just brought up too. Is like how much that adult
Hey,
gained
welcome.
from that experience. Like this was an event for youth and all that, but this adult that got to come and experience was like humbled and learned from that experience, and but you supported them through the process too, like
Yeah.
that adult too. That's so cool.
Well, I think 9 out of 10 times that's my job at events is to support the adults. Because it is challenging, right? It's challenging to watch young people in a space and place where they're getting challenged and asked to talk about and think about, because we do want to put a bubble around our kids, right? And it's natural. We want to protect people we care about.
Yeah.
Sometimes though we have to just loosen that bubble a little, right? So that they can, like, so when there's young people who don't want to talk or engage, or the hand over face folks, right? That's okay. But at some point, we're going to say, and we're going to say specifically, Brennan, what do you think? And we're going to sit and we'll be silent, and people will be anxious and uncomfortable, but we'll be okay with that. And that young person will be as well. And we'll say, would you like to whisper it to me? Would you like to whisper it to me? Like, okay. Right?
Yeah.
And so all those things can happen, and that is the key to support, right? So that those risks that they take, that there is a better chance of success. So talking about success, let's get back to you for a second.
Oh, okay.
So you are not only an entrepreneur, you are also a student.
I am a student.
And what are you currently studying?
I am in my 3rd year of advertising and marketing communications.
Definitely.
And you're now, and you recently moved it from a diploma to now a degree, correct?
Yeah, so next September I'm transitioning into the 5th semester of the Bachelor of Digital Communications.
Nice.
Look at that.
Yeah, and I'm on the dean's list this year too.
Awesome.
And I also actually, it was pretty good because I had Ontario College's marketing competition. So I trained with my coach all semester, still kept up the GPA, and then I placed 5th in all of Ontario for the integrated marketing communications.
There you go.
Yeah, which is so awesome.
I'm still stoked that we can all do live high fives.
Which was really cool. It was a lot of work, and my work is even better. I'm doing well-researched, great campaigns, marketing campaigns, and I love learning about marketing and about advertising and being able to support other Indigenous businesses and organizations and other, with their.
Are we still doing something with it, like a placement or something with you?
Yes.
Or a project?
Yeah. Well, we could talk more about that.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you think that she should help us and do a project with us.
Oh, you can't see my hand. It's like Toy Story, and he's like holding up Buzz's hand. Hey, it's me, Buzz.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Toy Story?
I did try to watch it over the holidays and fell asleep.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Like this whole time you've never seen? Wow.
Never seen it. Wow. I don't know when it came out. When did Buzz Lightning come out? Or Buzz?
Toy Story, what, like 2002?
2000 something.
2000?
Like that,
Okay, so I was in my late
On
20s.
VHS.
So probably, yeah.
I used to
Probably
watch
makes
it on
sense that in my
VHS.
late 20s I didn't see Buzz Lightyear. Or...
But it's been on for so long. Like, it's
I
so
know,
long.
yeah,
How have
totally.
you not
So I
seen
did try to watch it. I tried to watch this holiday season movies that everyone else had seen that I've never watched. That's what I've been working on as of late.
Oh.
Like I just recently I've been talking about, maybe last week I was talking about it too, but I just found out who Jason Statham really is.
Oh, like
Like,
you've been on a Jason Statham kick, you said.
Oh yeah, like it's insane because he's been in 1,000 movies. He and Liam Neeson could be like brothers.
Oh yeah, like the
like-
same character.
Same character, right? Exactly. Right.
Great.
So Jason
Right.
Statham literally plays the same character in everything I've seen so far. Like
He
there's
plays
good,
it perfectly too.
yeah,
Yeah, he
like,
does it very
yeah.
well.
And he's not a total jerk, right?
Mm.
He's like got jerkiness, but he's got like big heart in every role, except for
Yeah.
one that I've not seen yet. But apparently, there's one role where he has no heart, and he's just
Cranked.
maybe that's it.
He
Maybe
has
yeah.
to keep like pumping his adrenaline up so he stays alive. Just has to do crazier and crazier things to get it up, basically.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
So, but I do believe I'm over my. I believe I'm over my Jason Statham phase.
You
Like-
watched the Meg, right?
The
The Meg,
The Meg
the
2.
Megalodon movie shark.
The
Just
big
to see them
shark.
fights a
It's a
prehistoric massive shark.
he fights a shark.
Yes, basically. In a little submarine.
Really?
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't.
two of them.
That's-
The Meg 1 and the Meg
It
2.
sounds so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. He
it's
fights
great.
a shark.
It's really.
Is it good?
It's funny.
Is it
it's
supposed
fun.
to be
That's
I
cool.
don't think so.
funny? No.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah. So either way, I've been trying to watch movies that other people have seen that I've just never watched.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. Toy Story is one, but I fell asleep. But I often do fall asleep during them.
Yeah.
Like
But even when movies are good, you feel like you fall asleep.
I do. I may have fallen asleep last night. We were watching.
Yeah, we watched Killers of the Flower Moon. I was so pumped. It was amazing. Oh my god.
It was like everything I saw. I really
need
was
to buy
thoroughly-
that movie physically. Like, oh my goodness, it was like top to bottom. Like the acting, the writing, the
Mhm.
sets, the cinematography, like everything. It was just insane. Like the sound, everything was crazy. It's such a good movie.
I would like to say there was something I did not enjoy about it.
Hmm.
So, Leo and I, Leo DiCaprio, for those of you not on a first name basis,
Ooh, just to be fair, Peter only watched half the movie. Fell asleep halfway through.
and then woke up. No, I woke up in
You
some
woke-
parts.
You woke up when there was 20 minutes left,
Yeah, and then went to
you
bed.
went to bed. Yeah.
But so
What an idiot.
Leo, for those on like first name basis, Leo and I are the same age. In fairness,
I remember this.
I am 5 days younger than 5 days younger or older. 5 days older than Leo, maybe.
Mhm.
And I have loved Leo forever.
Yeah.
And in that
Pre-Titanic.
pardon me?
Pre-Titanic.
Pre-Titanic, post-Titanic, like even like I have presumed we will eventually marry. I can already envision it.
I could see
You're
it.
both invited.
I could see it.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
I can't wait.
the
I can't wait
that
to see all the other celebrities there.
that said, in this movie, he was not an appealing character.
Yeah.
Or attractive. I was very concerned for Leo. I'm like, is this what other people see when they see me now?
Oh,
Well,
what?
he was playing a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was,
Played it
but he also
perfectly.
just had like a. But again,
Western.
it was
Cowboy.
it was
They
just
also made him look uglier.
yeah,
Yeah.
like totally.
They had to.
I noted it seriously. I was like, now it's relying on his acting, and thank goodness he is like literally my generation's like probably the best actor in my generation.
I would agree.
And
Yes.
but it's but
most,
yeah.
Most underrated actor for sure.
Do you think he's underrated?
I think so.
Do you think he's underrated?
No.
I don't think so.
I think he's underrated.
I really?
Yeah.
I think he's very well paid. I think he's very
I
well.
think he's still underrated.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I do remember.
He's
So
just starting to get his flowers now, really. Like
Yeah.
awards and recognition and stuff. There was so long he didn't get like any
Oh,
awards.
that's very
Really?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh
Years.
well. So the Basketball Diaries. If have you seen the Basketball Diaries?
I'm trying to remember it.
Either of you?
No.
No, I'm thinking Coach Carter.
Pardon me.
I was thinking Coach Carter.
So the Basketball Diaries is probably one of his best movies by far. It is the story of Jim Carroll, who was a poet and was a punk rock singer in New York, and it's a challenging film to watch, but amazing. And in a nutshell, Leo plays him, Jim Carroll, and growing up in the, I'll say maybe 50s, like as a Catholic kid in New York in a poor family and etc. Just his path, his life path, which was very challenging, and by far I think the best film he ever did. And I know other people are like Gilbert Grape and various other things, and Titanic, of course, but that was certainly the best. So if you haven't seen it, I would strongly recommend it, without a doubt. Basketball Diaries, and the book is also equally powerful. And my goodness,
Sounds super familiar.
yeah. And at the time, though, he was the biggest actor in the world, like in that era, like Gilbert Grape, Basketball Diaries, Titanic, like there was no actor bigger than him. But maybe you're right. Maybe he never won
He
awards.
never,
Maybe?
no. didn't start winning awards till like recently. I feel like till Revenant
Yeah,
maybe or
I
something.
think he
And-
got an Oscar like just recent.
Yeah.
And was he nominated for Flowers of the Killing Moon? Does anyone know?
Think so.
If someone could Google that, maybe just
I
let
don't
us know.
know.
I wonder if he did.
I don't know.
I wonder if he was nominated this year. I know.
They got a
Well,
lot of nominations.
it did, and of course, so did leading the pack from there
Lily?
is
Lily Gladstone.
Lily
yeah.
Gladstone.
She was unreal in that movie.
She's a badass.
Yeah, and I saw
Oh.
people commenting online too. They're like, "Oh, she's so emotionless." Blah blah. blah. I was like, "That's the character. That's the person she's playing.
She was
She
brilliant.
played it perfectly."
Absolutely brilliant.
brilliant.
Yeah, and like even near the end too, like yeah, she's unreal.
Well, don't tell me in the end yet.
Yeah, no, I won't.
The 46% of the movie that I watched, she was certainly, I was taken by her immensely.
Yeah.
And I guess if I was looking at Leo and really disliking everything about him, I guess that means he did a very good job as well. Because I did not want to marry Leo last night. I was like, yeah, it is.
He has some scenes in there, man. I mean, all of them, like everybody, like even the smaller actors, like it was just so well casted. Everybody did so well. It was insane. Like it must have been so cool to be on that set and be a part of that project.
Oh, goodness.
I
eh?
can't imagine.
The opening, as sad as it was in that opening scene, and not spoiling anything, but they're speaking their language. They're holding up that pipe, right? They're bearing the pipe. And like my heart was so full to see a film opening in such a genuine and authentic and meaningful way. Like just seeing, it was amazing. Like it was like, it's come a long way from, what was the Wolf movie?
The
Dancing
Dances with
Wolves,
Wolves.
yeah.
Come a long way from Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for folks that have pushed and made that stuff happen over the years, right?
Like the fact-
indigenous filmmakers and the new Mi'kmaq fellow who passed away there, who did the zombie movie.
Oh yeah.
Barnaby.
Yeah, Barnaby. Yeah.
Yeah, like holy
That was a
Moses
great
and
movie too.
Jennifer Podemsky and just so many who have just done just open doors for not just for these kind of films to be made, right?
Yeah.
Like and yeah, like I just get like goosebumps because I think about how far in a real short time frame. It might seem like a long time, but over the last 20 years, right? And over the last 5 years and 7 years, these doors have opened, which should have never been closed in the first place, but they were. But now they are opened, and we're seeing this beautifulness in all these spaces. New York Fashion Week. Now I'm getting, my feet is filled with folks that I either know or I'm associated with or linked somehow who are at that. And even our friend from Nunavut is heading to model. Her and her daughter are going to Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Like, mind blowing, right? Like,
People from the tall ship modeled there.
yeah, yes. Like, it's amazing. So this world is, for all of, life is hard. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Because it is. Like, life is.
The world is super Johnny. Shitty.
Okay, teach me that slang.
Johnny?
Johnny?
Yeah, shitty.
Shitty?
And
Johnny.
Johnny.
Yeah,
Johnny.
shitty. Because
Well,
it's short for me, John, which means poop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Me, Johnny.
Yep.
There you go.
Me, Johnny, Johnny.
Okay.
Shitty.
Look at that, our word of the day.
Yeah. Johnny.
Music.
So, and the world is a hard place.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard for everyone in their own ways and our own ways, right? And so it's easy, I think, for us to find ourselves in a space or place where we're like, they're not doing enough. This isn't happening. This is, and there are those moments in time where I'm watching that and I can feel the pain that people are carrying. Like, and I can experience the frustration. But the reality is that these are things that took 150 years, really actually 400 years of mucking around that brought us to where we were, say, 10 years ago. But when we start to see these things, when we see those, all of that cast and crew, was the crew on that was a lot of Indigenous folks as well. When we see the folks at Fashion Weeks, we see the folks on stages in hockey arenas, and even if some of it's performative, like I'm not naive, right? Like, there's a reason they all are doing it, right?
Mhm.
Because the others are. Because one group was brave enough to start it. But it's all these steps forward, right? I think there are more steps forward than steps backwards.
Yeah.
And some days it doesn't feel like that. And some days it isn't that.
Yeah.
But I do think that Indigenous brilliance, Indigenous beauty, Indigenous knowledge, Indigenous ways of being and doing
Mhm.
are being incorporated into new spaces in a much better way than ever before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like even building our businesses, we've had a lot of people like say things, crab in the bucket style, and just people who were negative. And I really had to get thick skin, because there were so many people all over the place that found that we shipped out to, and our Indigenous face mask at the time was everywhere. We've sold to over like 40 countries, like we've sold all over the world. And it's like, and there's a lot of people who were hateful on some of the comments and just being racist, and just it's hard to hear that, hard to see that. And it's just learning. It's like, hey, we're doing something good. Let's focus on the good and let's keep going and be amazing and
Yeah,
do amazing things for amazing people.
exactly.
Mhm.
Uh-oh. He was snubbed out.
Oh.
No, womp womp. He was not nominated. Thank you, Anna. Womp womp.
That's wild.
But yeah, it is. So I just choose to live my life in that lens, right?
Yeah.
It is. I would like to think that I'm active in addressing those systemic, the intergenerational, the daily challenges.
Mhm.
Like, I would like to think that is how I live my life, right, as best as I can, in my own space, in my own family, in my own community, in my own circle, and at regional and national levels, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, I also am going to really invest in seeing the world, the beauty that's out there, acknowledging the challenges, but accepting the successes at the same time.
Mhm.
And yeah,
And that's a choice that you have to constantly make, right? It's not something that you just say and then easily stick to. It's something that you have to remind yourself of.
totally. Yeah, very exactly. Because it's so easy to go negative right away, right?
Mhm.
Someone says this, you say that. Like, regardless of what the that is or the this is, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can just be negative, and it's sort of like, I think it just got to be tiring. Like those crab in the bucket folks, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's got to be exhausting. It's got to be an exhausting way to live your life,
For anyone,
where
yeah.
everything is just negative or anchored in difficulty, right? And it's not that shitty of a world, you guys. And exactly,
I
right?
appreciate that.
Like,
Yeah.
there is these beauty moments, right?
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
and again, it is that is the that's the piece, right? If we can shift how we see each other, like, if we live in a world where we think other people are going to put us at risk or have us risk losing something, or like where we can't find trust, right? And it doesn't mean that trust might not be broken or it might not be earned, but if we can't anchor it in that trust piece for each other, for ourselves, for the world as a whole, it makes life harder. Like, I'm watching what's happening, obviously, like everyone is, like many people are, in the Middle East, right? In Israel and Palestine. And I trust that the Israelis, the individuals who live in Israel, are going to remove their prime minister. Like, I trust that is going to happen. Now, would I like to happen tomorrow? Of course I would. But it might not. But he is going to be held to account in some way or other. It might be as marginal as him not being elected and being out of office. It might be him being held to account for any of the pieces that the World Court has talked about that have gone beyond what their allowance would be in a situation like this, right? I don't know the answers to that because I'm not a fortune reader, but I do believe that the people of Israel are growing, and we're seeing, at least I'm seeing it, and saying, okay, enough is enough, right? And so I have to believe that, like, because if I don't believe that, if I believe that there is no hope, like, oh my goodness, right? I believe that there's going to be young people who are in Palestine right now who aren't going to become militarized, who aren't going to be anchored in, have their pain anchored in hate and violence. I believe that. I think there will be young people who they're suffering traumas that are never to be understood in this country, right? It's like we talked about last year at the truckers, right? Like, I'm all for you, like, protesting. That's never been my beef. But at least, like, the idea that they don't have freedom,
Yeah.
like, talk to the 78 countries in the world that don't have freedom.
Yeah.
Talk to a gay kid in Florida doesn't have freedom, or a woman in Texas, or anyone in the Ukraine, or a translator in Afghanistan. Like, you want to talk about freedom? Like, so I don't know. I don't know why I'm ranting with that tonight.
No, that's good.
But we got there.
Really,
Yeah. I think too, it comes back to too, like what we were talking about earlier, like making that choice to kind of focus on the positive stuff, right? Like you have to constantly just make that choice, and it's really hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is like even though you don't think it's worth it, or you might not know it's worth it at the time, like just take the risk. Maybe it is. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty. We just don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not fortune tellers.
No.
But we know that if we do our best and we walk in a good way, as best way we can in that day, and our best today might not be what our best was yesterday, or it might not be what our best can be tomorrow. We just walk the best way we can. Like, so even walk, and I just say walking, I know, so I still have to get 2,000 steps before I go to bed. So that's gonna be important. And oh, hey, look at that, Rod LaPriest. Hello, Rod. Hello. That's my buddy Rod, who also came to Kingston as well years ago, and worked here with us. And yeah. Wow. And Rod lives up in northern Saskatchewan. So what a lovely treat to see you, Rod. That's awesome.
Stuff like that probably makes it way easier to make the choice, say, to focus on the positive.
Yeah.
Like, I would assume that it's way easier for you now to focus on all that stuff than it was, say, 10 years ago.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It was, because when your life is chaos, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when your life is chaos, it's really hard to not see everything as chaos. When your life is filled with angst and unhealed hurts and no ability to get to that healing stage, yeah, of course you're going to be there, right? I was there. And but at the end of the day, if we, like today for you, accept that love that people have for us, right? If we open ourselves up, even though it makes us uncomfortable, and we accept the love that folks have for us, if we accept the fact that there is that we are worthy of that, right? Worthy of a train ride to come and see you, and worthy of coming and being in the space, right?
Absolutely. I even made a reel about it, and its reel was, this is your reminder today to, what did I say? That you're loved. And then there was so much love with everyone, and with all the food and everyone coming together, and that was so beautiful to see today. And me watch both of you. I needed to hear it too.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So that was really good.
Yeah, it was an amazing day, and this was an amazing night. I was talking about the steps, so I do have to still go for a walk. I did 2,000 steps, which is probably beyond the post office. I just thought I could just go to the mailbox, and I also think I'm hungry. I think I might need some leftovers.
You can eat what you want.
Ooh. My friends, what a special treat tonight has been. This has been absolutely fantastic to have. First of all, our first ever in-person guest
Yeah.
with an in-person show, and we couldn't have anyone better. Entrepreneur, academic, scholar, change maker, brave, powerful, brilliant, beautiful, hardworking woman, and our dear friend and a member of our team and our little community and circle, which makes her family. And we are so glad that you came down for today. It was awesome. And I love following along. And we will let you know. I'm going to let you know later next week, maybe if Brennan, you remind me, if we, in fact, are doing a project with them or not, or if she found someone better, maybe, or I don't know. But we'll let you know. Next week, we are going to, I will be live from Florida.
Yes.
So I'll be live from Florida. You'll be back in Nova Scotia. And I don't know who's going to be our guest yet, but we'll figure it out.
Hopefully the tour guide. Your Universal tour guide coming on the other show.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, eh? Yeah. Well, that's when I see him on Saturday. So we're going to see. I got some emails. Part of it is that it's been so busy with so many different things and other projects that I haven't been able to. I've got like half written emails to like 10 guests, potential guests. So we need to get our stuff together, ducks in a row. But that said, Brennan Gugu, as always, it is great to spend the evening with you. It is an adjustment to Sundays. I can't lie, because again, I am tired at 8:22, right? Like Saturdays, I'm drinking Diet Coke, I'm having lots of tea, and like I'm energized, I'm caffeinated. But if I caffeinated this time of night, I'll be awake. Like I'll be like, but it has literally been just a absolute wonder and treat to have you here and to have live. And I will now, those are my last words, just a reminder to our friends at home how much you matter to us. You really do. It is so important when we have the opportunities to spend time together. Mm-hmm. It matters that you come and hang out with us. It's so important. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube yet, know that if you're watching on Facebook, you can also watch it live on YouTube. I think at some point we're going to make a transition where we'll stop airing it on Facebook, maybe. I don't know for certain yet, but we'll just see. But make sure you check out the YouTube and click that subscribe button. And again, if you're watching on Facebook, click like and click a share on it. So our closing words. I've now shared mine. You folks matter to me. You folks are important to me, and you all belong at home and here. Any final words or thoughts or reflections?
Just miigwech for having me, and miigwech for watching. And Lee, I see you there. Thanks for tuning in into the chat. Everyone else too, and support Indigenous business, and tell your friends, tell everyone about the Indigenous businesses around you, and that's about it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on and being our first live guest.
Oh,
awesome. Thank you, Peter, for everything you do, and everyone that listens and tune in, and even outside of the show, everyone that's been just super amazing to me here in Kingston, and just Wallowan. Like, I'm so grateful. Yeah. Thank you.
And a shout out to our 20 new friends that we're going to meet in a couple weeks. We're looking forward to it, and stay tuned to our social channels and our website for updates on We're Listening. And until next Sunday, from Florida and Millbrook First Nation, peace out. We'll see you later, alligators.
Thanks so much, guys.